Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And thank you for joining us today, January 12th, Hump Day.
I forecast rain.
Yeah, I think
At least in
there's a
Belize City.
90% chance that it is raining.
99%.
I'm leaving, a little cloud coverage
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah,
But it is a wet morning.
in Belize City. Woke up to the rain. I was like, it's a good morning to stay in bed and to not be out of my house, out of my room. So I envied those who are still laying in bed, just waking up, turning on their TVs or watching on their devices, watching us on their devices. I envy you this morning.
Yeah.
But there's no better place I'd rather be, given the conditions, given
Yeah.
the context,
Yeah.
than to be here this morning having
Helping
these
people start them
conversations.
on and right.
Exactly. That's
Of
what we
course.
do best.
Well, I'm sure there's some commuters on the way who are saying, yeah, I've been up earlier than you are.
That's so true.
Or some of our friends in the diaspora who I
Right.
know are already at work. And but Paul, of course, a wet Wednesday. Lots happening in the country. And I think the biggest thing, we can't stop talking about it because we're living in a pandemic, is rising COVID cases.
Yeah, yesterday I believe we saw a record
Yeah.
daily number of active reported cases,
Yeah.
daily number of newly reported cases.
Yeah.
And I believe we may have reached now
Yeah.
a record number of active cases. So daily number of reported cases in terms of being over 1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
And then active cases in terms of being over 6,000.
And we have 2 days back to back of over 1,000 cases.
Yeah.
I was trying to find my numbers this morning. I do remember there was one day there was over 1,000 cases back in December 2020, and that was a specific point when rapid tests were included. Remember in the early pandemic, we only used PCR as a
Yeah.
valid test?
Yeah, I remember.
And then when they included rapid tests, it was a larger number, somewhere over 1,000. But that was way back then. But what we have had is 2 days of
Yeah.
over 1,000 cases. We know if we look at global trends, most countries are breaking records for daily new cases. And the total number of active cases definitely is approaching a record for us. And I think that perhaps is even more concerning to me because, one, we know two things. One, there are many people who are asymptomatic and don't know. And there are many others who have not been tested. As a part of the protocol, we've seen where households are asked to just stay home even though they haven't been tested because given the transmissibility of Omicron, the expectation is if they don't have it, they'll probably get it.
Yeah.
So just quarantine during the same time with your roommate or
Right.
loved one at home.
Right. It's definitely concerning what we see happening in the U.S. as well. We don't see this trend in Belize, but what we see happening in the U.S. is a record number of hospitalizations, or at least numbers that compares to the beginning of the pandemic. Now, I don't know if that is a trend, and hopefully not, is a trend
Yeah, I'm
that
wanna
will
knock on wood with
knock
that
on wood
one,
that
yeah.
will transfer into Belize. But naturally, what happens when more persons become infected, and we've said this, what happens when more persons become infected? Those whose immune systems are compromised,
Yeah.
by just by effect, they would end up hospitalized or would have need for hospitalizations. And
Yeah.
we know personally persons that have had to be hospitalized because of COVID-19 and this current
Yeah.
wave, whether it be Delta or the Omicron variant. But with
And
sick,
Delta is still out there.
Right.
That's one of the things the doctors
Right.
keep on telling us.
Right.
We're probably seeing more Omicron cases the way it's spreading, but Delta is still out there. And Delta is evil the way it affects the lungs of the persons who are affected. Yeah, but you were talking about the hospitalization records in the U.S. I think it is a moment, and it's interesting now to see how officials are kind of coming back and saying, yes, it's mild, but just remember, the same thing you're saying. If you have a large number, that percentage of persons who were bound to be hospitalized, that grows as well, and that can overwhelm a healthcare system, especially a healthcare system that has persons who are sick too, and so they have less staff. I mean, there are reports from other parts of the world. I believe the UK saw less hospitalization. South Africa said their wave, they saw less hospitalization. So let's hope we follow those trends. I'm really hoping. But I do think we have to figure out how we're going to get this under control. There's a lot of personal responsibility involved
There
here.
is.
And I think that's kind of the difficult part, because I know we can talk about enforcement, and that's a challenge, but you can't police every household or every workplace.
I believe we attempted that in 2020, and the numbers weren't anything near
Yeah.
6,000 cases. So you could imagine us trying to police 6,000 cases. It might not be 6,000 households,
Yeah.
but 3,000 households, just say for example. I think that's one of the main concerns as well. First of all, the question is whether or not these 6,000 active cases are actually at home, isolating. And then the second thing is the studies show doctors are saying that for every one active case, there may be 8 cases added to that. And so you could get the sense of what's out there when you hypothetically multiply 6,000 times 8. And it's not to scare anybody, but it's just the reality, and it goes back to the point that the medical personnel continue to treat everyone as if though they have COVID-19. The more I have conversations outside, the more I hear people compare it to the flu, kind of diminishing its effect, and that seems to be
Make people be less
the
scared.
main understanding, which tells me, one, that people are getting the information, but it's how they're translating that information and how they're using that information in terms of going about their daily lives.
Yeah. Now, and I mean, you've been through
Oh
a
my
few
gosh,
tests,
yeah.
and one of the things I wanted to, I mean, I saw the interview with Senator Kevin Herrera
Yes.
yesterday, and this is a concern. I think all employers are in the same boat, where you're just literally, it's like finishing a puzzle with missing pieces. Like, okay, let's
playing
put this
chess.
one here, put this one there. Because there is a gap that is left with so many people being sick at the same time. And it feels, if I could visualize it for people, it's like avoiding COVID at this point feels like a MMA fighter. It's like a block. And you're just trying to I know for me, trying not to get sick, trying not to have a large number of persons sick at the same time, because business has to keep on going.
I sat down and I thought about that same analogy that you made. Last night I thought about that exact same analogy.
Well, especially for you. You're a master MMA fighter,
I
right?
thought to myself, like, man, I am tired of dodging COVID.
Yeah.
It just seems like a consistent fight, a consistent battle to avoid contracting the virus, because it's right at this point, it's everywhere you turn.
Yeah.
Somebody has COVID-19, or you hear of somebody having COVID-19, and so that has been the constant battle. But yes, we did have that conversation with Senator for Business Community Kevin Herrera yesterday, and definitely one of the more interesting points that for me that came out of that conversation was not only the amount of employees. This is one of the concerns of business owners and employers, the number of their employees that are on sick leave, but the cost
Yep.
of that to the employer and to the business owner, because at the end of the day, that employee being out does not necessarily add value
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
company. But the way the law is set up,
Yeah.
you know, the company still has to front 20% of that employee's salary.
Two things there. I think the work from home issue is one that seems, right now it's difficult. I mean, we're lucky. We have some great team members that are working from home when they're out. And I know you've done it a few times too while quarantining. And so it's a blessing when you have that capacity to be able to do it. Like you're not so sick that you can't, or that you have the resources to be able to do it. But not all jobs people can work from home. And then the other part is the Social Security bill.
That's the other part.
And that is, I mean, if we're looking at 6,000 active cases right now, let's say that's 6,000 workers out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or if they're very, very sick, even longer. So the employer is trying to fit people in to fill that slot, perhaps even taking on new help, or Social Security is also paying that contribution as well. And I hear you, that's what they're there for, but we got to be practical about how much can be afforded or what impact it will have as well.
It's to put things into perspective, Social Security covers 80% of an employee's salary while they're out. So that's times that, whatever that is, by that 6,000. And that's one of the points that Senator Herrera raised as well yesterday. The fact that in all their calculations, previous calculations, Social Security, the nation, our leaders could not have foreseen a pandemic of this proportion where Social Security would be required to pay out so much in sick leaves and sick benefits, etc. And so,
and that's just COVID. I mean, there are people who are pregnant. There are people who have to get treatment for other illnesses. You know, maybe they're battling a cold or, you know, food poisoning or whatever else that people can potentially be ill with. They also come. So, I mean, we haven't even started talking about that situation yet. And the worst part is, Paul, we're not in the peak yet. We started seeing this wave that week after Christmas, the beginning of this wave. And we know that on average, or the expectation is that on average, it's 6 to 8 weeks before it levels out. So we're going to see more cases and eventually hit that peak and come back down. So I say to people this, you know, there's a lot of conversation about how the country will respond from leaders. But we always have to remember our own personal accountability, not just because it's the right thing to do, but just because you could be protecting someone's life. You don't know who you're going to expose, who may be high risk. You don't know what consequences will happen if they do get infected with the virus. So just be cautious out there, because yes, we hear all the stories about how Omicron appears to be a lot milder, but there's some people who, even with a mild version, given underlying conditions or vulnerabilities they already possess, that they may not be able to fight it off.
You know, it's interesting because in speaking again with Senator Herrera and asking him what are the measures that businesses and employees, or what he recommends for businesses and employees, the measures he recommends for them to take in order to kind of shore up or to kind of prevent an insurmountable amount of losses. And he went back right to the simple and basic steps that we all know, the protocols that we all understand, which boils down to personal responsibility. And so I was expecting, you know, this grand answer where, oh, you need to invest this amount in that. And he's like, it's simple, Paul. Get vaccinated.
And boosted.
And boosted.
Yeah.
wear your mask, social distance, sanitize your hands.
Yeah.
The things we know are the things that won't only protect our lives, but could help to
Yeah.
protect the businesses we work for, the businesses we run. It could impact social security, what they pay out. The schools, it has a widespread effect in terms of the measures and the personal responsibility that we take.
Yeah. So that's the big news for today. And of course, I think the conversation is ongoing about the new Minister of Health and Wellness,
Yeah.
Honorable Kevin Bernard. And we saw the opposition coming out as well, speaking against his nomination, saying that they don't feel he's equipped. I gotta say, let's just point out the obvious here. It's a little strange hearing that from the opposition, because Honorable Pablo Marin was at the helm of the ministry for the entire pandemic under the last administration. He and his CEO, George Goff, we never saw them. They weren't involved. And it's not saying, and I think what the past administration did was kind of relinquish the leadership of the country through the pandemic to the DHS, Dr.
Right.
Marvin Manzanero, which is part of the reason why people feel so connected and protective of him, because he led us through the most uncertain time when we knew nothing about this disease. So, that was how they handled it. So it's interesting now to think that they are now expecting or demanding that this administration have a minister who is qualified. It doesn't fit with their past actions, and I think it's important that we point that out. The other point is that I think if it is to follow the pattern that we saw with the last administration, the critical roles that are still yet to be filled, that CEO role and the
Right.
director of, I would guess it'd be public health,
Yes.
because there are now 3
And
directors.
hospital services.
Yeah, and hospital services, those are going to be really critical roles. And we
Right.
have to see who are going to be the persons who are put in these positions, and whether the new minister will take a very active role, as we saw with Minister Shabat, or whether he will rely more on the technical persons who hold those posts. And that's what we have to see. But I thought the question of a qualified minister,
I mean, that would have been my contribution to the conversation.
Yeah.
The fact that the CEO roles and these other posts, those are the technical
Yeah.
and professional posts, and those are the ones that I would imagine needs to be filled and needs to be filled as soon as possible.
well, yeah, I mean, I think yesterday was too late
Yeah,
for that to be
definitely.
filled. We are in the middle of a pandemic. Worse yet, we are in the worst wave that we have seen, worse in the number of cases. So urgency, I mean, that there's no way you can underplay or understate the urgency of getting these posts filled and getting moving into a new direction. Because, there are a few things we know. We know that most likely, like what we've seen in other parts of the world, there'll probably be no shutdown. The economic impact was too devastating. So there has to be mitigating effects put into place, or plans as to how we'll handle if there's a hospital surge, if there's a lot of sick out, if essential services can't function, if KHMH has more staff out sick at the same time. So there are lots of things that can happen, may happen, and we got to hear some plans about them.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And so definitely, I don't envy Minister Bernard, and we'll continue to monitor, what his moves are in that
Yeah.
ministry as they move forward.
Well, I hope it's not monitoring. I do hope he comes to us openly. I do
Definitely.
hope that we
Well,
see,
he
we see some public addresses.
He has been one
Yeah.
of the, I'm sure you've discussed this, he has been one of the ministers that has been more open to the media.
Yeah.
I can't recall one time where we've reached out to him and he has not been ready and willing to make comments and give his positions on certain things concerning youth. We've seen where he's sought to do a lot with involving youth when he had that portfolio, and so it is our hope, it is my hope that that will, that drive, and even that transparency and openness translates into the health portfolio. And then lastly, Marlene, I think just to briefly touch on it, to make a point of it, yesterday we saw the government of Belize released their report on the Commission of Inquiry's findings, and it's no surprise what came out of that report, what came out of that inquiry, just to say that the report is, in summaries, essentially saying that most of these sales of government assets were in contravention of the law. It's obvious. We saw that throughout the entire process of the Commission of Inquiry. The fact that every part and parcel of the process seemed to have been a fly by the way process in the way it was handled. Of course, Mr. Marshall-elect, he's senior counsel Marshall-elect. We spoke to him yesterday, and he was basically saying that of the different processes that could have been used, the tendering processes, that none of them were applied. The one area that he has recommended, that the commission has recommended be looked into further, it has to do with the sale of a Toyota Tacoma to former Minister Hugo Pat, and the sales of the transaction involving lands where a person by the name of Kevin Lee is concerned as well. So a lot out of that report.
You know, there's so much happening that it feels like the Commission of Inquiry is such a distant memory. But reading the release kind of brings back a lot of the testimonies that we saw.
Right.
I think it was infuriating then to the public. I remember the jokes about, you know, getting a vehicle for a couple $100.
$500.
And look at your eyes light up. Is that right? Like, who wouldn't want that kind of deal? And not just people who already own vehicles, people who wish they could earn enough to own a vehicle. And I think that is, while many will dismiss, I am sure, what the findings report. In other words, we kind of already know, but it is important that we keep on pointing out how wrong it is and the inequity that it builds in this country, where people have access at such, I mean, just completely unrealistic prices, where people who would have benefited from that type of sale didn't get access. And that's a fundamental issue, especially when we start talking about disparities in this country. But I do have one more point, and this one it just came up last night. Our Circle, which is a LGBT community organization, has written an open letter to now the Minister of Religious Affairs. As you know, with the latest cabinet reshuffle, Minister Honorable Henry Charles Usher is now responsible for religious affairs. Now, in his interview at that PUP press conference, he stated that we must make sure that our Christian principles are adhered to. So Our Circle, their managing director, has written an open letter asking for clarification as to what that means. Their main point being that they have faced discrimination, their children have faced discrimination based on religious principles. And so they're very concerned about that particular statement, and so they are asking for clarification as to what that means and how that will help. Or, I mean, I don't want to get my words wrong here. It says, to ensure that there is no misunderstanding to your interview, we ask for your clarification on the statement you made in regards to merging the public service with Christian fundamental principles. Is this to be interpreted that discrimination based on religious grounds will be upheld by you and your government? So real interesting development there. We'll have more on that in the newscast tonight. Hopefully we can get Teresa to explain more. Maybe the new minister will be able to clarify those statements as well. Yeah. All right. That's a lot happening in just 20 minutes, but we got to do some of our housekeeping at this time, get you motivated with our eye-opener, and then find out what we can expect with our weather. But our eye-opener for this morning goes like this. We cannot insist that someone else take responsibility for their actions. Only they can make that choice when they are ready. As we begin to truly understand that the world outside of us is a reflection of the world inside of us, we may feel confused about who is to blame for the problems in our lives. If we had a difficult childhood, we may wonder how we can take responsibility for that. And in our current relationships, the same question arises. We all know that blaming others is the opposite of taking responsibility. But we may not understand how to take responsibility for things that we don't truly feel responsible for. We may blame our parents for our low self-esteem, and we may blame our current partner for exacerbating it with their unconscious behavior. Objectively, this seems to make sense. After all, it is not our fault if our parents were irresponsible or unkind, and we're not to blame for our partner's bad behavior. Perhaps the problem lies with the activity of blaming, whether we blame others or blame ourselves. There is something aggressive and unkind about it. It puts the resolution of our pain in the hands of someone other than us. Ultimately, we cannot insist that someone else take responsibility for their actions. Only they can make that choice when they are ready. If we want to move forward with our lives, see the wisdom of taking the situation into our own hands. We do this by forgiving, even if they have not asked for our forgiveness, so that we can be free.
You know, Marlene, I have the perfect story for this.
Okay. We'll get
if
the
you-
60-second version.
Yes, if you'd allow. I read a Facebook post last night. A young lady giving a testimony. It seemed to have been from 2018. I only came across it last night. And interestingly, this young lady seems to be a resident in Belize, but she gave a story in 2018 of how 15 years from before that date, her dad one day came home in angry rage, I guess, took a sledgehammer, killed her mother, killed her brother. Yeah, I'm sure you weren't expecting that. And attempted to kill her as well. In the process of it, and then he took his own life. She survived. She recalls going into a coma for about a week or so before she got back up, and she was able to survive the situation. Nonetheless, after that ordeal, she spoke of being bitter, becoming a very bitter person, very angry, blaming herself and the labels she received because of this experience. Nonetheless, she went on to say that 15 years later, she was finally free from the situation. She was finally free from the hurt. She was finally free from the anger. She was finally free from the bitterness. She was able to forgive her dad. And even though her dad had passed, she spoke of the fact that she loves her dad. And she loves him more now than before. Now, her means of healing, she took the route of religion or faith. And so she spoke of her faith in God, her faith in Jesus, and how that had helped her to forgive her dad, and how she's now healed, and that she was using this medium to kind of testify and to say that there is nothing out there too great for you to seek healing and forgiveness from. So.
Yeah, if you're not hanging on to blame about that, then
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, come on.
And the testimony of it being in a better place.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, but we got to keep moving on.
Of course.
There's a lot I want to say about that one, but we got to, we have our show to move into, but we do want to get into our weather update and find out what we can expect for today. All right, so our general situation is for a relatively moist northerly airflow prevailing. The 24-hour forecast.
Is for mostly cloudy today with sunny breaks. Tonight skies will be partly cloudy to cloudy. A few showers.
We
in
got her on the
areas
line.
of
There we
rain.
go.
Thank
Catherine
you.
Cumberbatch with the save. Good morning.
Good morning, my lady. Good morning.
How are
Good
you?
morning.
I am doing okay.
All
I'm
right.
not going to complain.
Well,
Just giving thanks, that's all.
okay. Well, we're thankful that we got you because you could break down what we can expect for today.
Okay. Okay, yes, right. As you know, Marlene, a relatively moist northeasterly, northerly airflow is prevailing. As you get up this morning, you feel the winds coming out of the northwest, and later
Yeah.
we expect the winds to veer to the northeast, and we expect the wind speed to be 5 to 15 knots, and the sea state will be light sharp. As for the forecast itself, the general weather condition, we expect mostly cloudy skies today with a few sunny breaks, and high temperatures will range from 82 along the coast to 84 inland and 68 in the mountains. Tonight, the skies will be partly cloudy to cloudy, and low temperatures will drop to 70 along the coast, a little bit cooler in the inland areas, 64, and up in the hills, we expect the temperatures to go as low as 60. A few showers and periods of rain will continue to affect mainly along coastal areas, specifically the central coastal and southern areas during the morning hours, and then later we expect those activity to move inland. And then tonight and tomorrow morning, the shower activity will redevelop along the coast and mainly along coastal areas. And then thereafter, outlook up to Thursday and Thursday night, we expect during Thursday morning that the showers will be, a few showers will occur mainly along the coast, and then thereafter the shower activity will become isolated.
Okay.
That's basically what we have for you all, guys.
All right. Wet days ahead.
Yes, but by Thursday afternoon, you could activity will become isolated.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that update.
You're welcome, Marlene.
You
Have a great day and stay safe.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. There you have it. We know what to expect. Pack your umbrella, your raincoat, rubber boots, and we should be out of this within, they said by the end of tomorrow. So,
Yeah,
all right, but we got to get moving into the show.
we do. And so we have a packed show lineup for you this morning. Some very interesting conversations. For a first conversation, we'll be having the Minister of Housing, Julius Espat, Honorable Julius Espat, Minister of Infrastructure Development and Housing, that is, and he will be discussing the Housing for Single Mothers program. We saw a lot of those houses handed over during that Christmas week, and so he'll be in to talk about that with us.
All right, and the second part of the show, the Majestic Daughters launches in Belize with a conference called Empowered. That's happening on January 15th, and we're going to have two of the hosts, including the Mayor of Belmopan, to tell us more about the event.
And if you're looking for a new hobby for the new year, learning an instrument, a musical instrument, may just be the avenue you want to take or thinking of taking. We have in with us today violinist Cindy Burgos, and she will be talking with us about the benefits of learning to play an instrument.
All right, and that's what we have to get into, but we got a birthday shout out for today, and we're saying happy birthday
To Kay Alamani. We want to say happy birthday. Alamina, sorry. We want to say happy birthday to you, Miss Alamina. From all of us here at Channel 5 and Open Your Eyes, we do hope you have a pleasant day.
All right, we're going to take that break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Honorable Julius Espat to talk about the work that is ongoing with his ministry. So please, stay tuned.
We have been a partner with SMART for over 10 plus years. We have a full SMART plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our smart service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Child Development Foundation, or CDF as we are popularly known, has been partnering with Social Security Board since 2015. Social Security Board supports our child protection initiatives. They support us to build capacity for teachers and parents to identify the indicators of abuse. In particular, they support our counseling center so that we can provide trauma-focused counseling therapy to children who have been abused. Social Security has also supported our prevention program, the Rise Girls program, to help us to equip young women who are in primary and secondary school to understand more about adolescent development and also to build good self-esteem and to build safe social networks.
Over the past 6 years, we have established a partnership with the Social Security Board. It has assisted us in addressing some of their social welfare needs and health care needs of our older persons, specifically in Belize City, San Ignacio, and Belmopan. We have had the opportunity to do home visits with our geriatrician and physiotherapists. We distribute meals to them. We also have that opportunity to interact with them, to observe them. There are needs that may be identified. If we can address those, we do so.
Social Security has been one of our biggest donors throughout the years, and the services that they provide to us is basically financial, and it helps with a lot of things here at the center like bills and groceries. The center is a drop-in center for the mentally ill, elderly, homeless, deportees. They come here, they take a shower, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch, and they also do recreational stuff here at the center. They can watch television, they listen to music, they play games, and they just, interact with each other because here it's like a family.
Back, and as we said before our last break, we would be having joining us the Minister of Infrastructure Development and Housing, Minister Julius Espat. Minister, good morning.
Morning.
I think it's been a while since you've been on set.
Maybe a year.
Maybe a year, right?
Yeah.
Let's just talk a bit about how it's been for you at the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing over the last year.
Exciting. Yeah. I think I'm enjoying it. I have good staff, We have been given a mandate by the government to do serious work, and it's within the field that I am used to, so it is a continuation of what I normally do, but in the public service, which makes it a different way of approaching how you get work done. But it's been exciting meeting new people, learning you learn every day, and that's the most important thing.
Going to perhaps one of the more recent happenings in the ministry, we saw during that Christmas week where the ministry, in collaboration with the larger government and the Prime Minister, issued houses to single mothers, some 20 houses across the Cayo district and I believe Stan Creek. Would you speak to that initiative and how that came about?
I'll start from when we handed it up. Very emotional.
Okay.
I never realized the impact it would have in changing people's lives. We knew that as a government we had to do things that are tangible to people, that people can feel. We were of the opinion that government wastes a lot of money in general terms on white elephant projects, and the people don't feel the benefits from it. And so that before the election we convinced our party that it was important that we went back to this housing idea. We were ambitious, no doubt, that we wanted to achieve a certain amount. And then we got into the reality when we hit and we formed government. The economy was in shambles. We had an emergency running through at the same time, the flooding and COVID. But despite that, Cabinet approved a budget for us to start a pilot project. And so this last year was basically putting together the team, putting the professionals in place, identifying contractors, looking at how the system works, and we got the first 20 delivered this December. But the reaction of the recipients was, I think, what softens your heart more than anything else. You're dealing with people that, in my opinion, would possibly never own a house. And now they have that in place. And shelter, in our opinion, maybe not only on our opinion, with the United Nations, shelter is a human right. And we're adding it on to other things because you are now getting water too, which is also a human right. You're getting power, which will become a human right. And in the cases where we're not on the grid, we are providing some houses with solar, which gives us a different approach to how we do things. It is, that's basically what it is low-cost housing. The houses were designed to be able to expand. So with time, when the recipient increases the income in the family, they will be able to grow the house, and the plans that are provided to them show them how that is to be done. But you should be there when people feel that pride of living under their own roof. That's an awesome feeling.
That's one of the significant part of the program here, the stories of the lives impacted. What are the testimonies that you've heard from those persons receiving?
Starts with tears. Basically, most of them were so emotional that they couldn't hold back. We had a lady that in Belmopan, for example, that her husband was killed. He was a police officer. I think her son, she was shot in the face. Some tragic story. We had another lady where her house was burnt. We have more than one that houses were burnt down. We have others that have never had an opportunity, really. And so that's why I think is more important than the numbers. It's the importance of how you're changing lives one by one. So we handed up 20 houses in December. We have completed 30 more that are about to be handed up. They're done, finished. We have 35 that have been approved, but we have some little issues with making sure that their documentation is in place. And Friday, there are 50 more that will be going in front of the selection committee. So we're doing fairly well.
So let's talk about that, because we do know, and I know you have spoken out publicly about it a lot of times, that there is severe poverty in this country, and in some cases people live in conditions that are completely deplorable. So the need is great. How do you select who is eligible, and how do you remove the politics from it? Because that's where people will first speculate.
You can try to remove the politics. That's a reality in life in Belize. So let's be clear with that. I mean, you try the best you can. And how you do that? By you do a selection committee and you base it on certain criteria. Everybody is eligible to participate. Everybody is eligible to apply. And we have informed the area reps throughout the country, red and blue, so that they are the ones that are elected by the people, so they have a better idea of the reality in their constituency. So that's the political aspect of it. So once the application comes in, the criteria is a simple one, no income or low income. It was originally single mothers and we changed it to single parent.
Okay.
We added on elderly and we added on disabled. And so that's basically your and that you have to own a piece of land or a lease or at least have a permission. In the rural communities you have large tracts of land where families live in. And so we would need permission from the family to be able to allow a construction to happen. Those are the criteria. Then they are vetted with the ministry. Somebody goes out and does an interview to make sure that the application fills the reality. And so an interview is done. They go and see where you live and your reality, where you come from, and they ask many questions. That information is compiled, and then it goes to the selection committee. The selection committee is made up of CEOs from various ministries. It is made up of private sector participation, activists in the private sector, and it's made up of, I think we have participation of the planners of Belize. So it's spread out. Okay. And then that application process, once they fulfill, they vote on it, they agree that it's been approved, then it comes back to the ministry. When it comes back to the ministry, it goes to what we call the Housing Execution Unit. And they do another type of evaluation. They go to the site to make sure that originally we were just approving and say, you're going to land, it looks good and everything. And then when we started, we realized, well, we have to evaluate it because it's swamp or maybe it's on a hill with a serious pitch that it makes it impossible. The foundation has to be determined where you are. So all of that analysis is done. And then the Housing Execution Unit presents that to the CEO, who gives the final approval base that everything is followed. And then we go out. Contractors are chosen from within the different areas that we are working because...
Is there a tendering process?
You do mostly selective tendering for this because we are trying to reach out to as much contractors as possible. The profits in this type of project is very limited. And we are trying to give work to people that have not been working for a long time or would not get an opportunity because of large projects. And so what the Housing Execution Unit does, that they go out and they evaluate the contractors. You have to register with the ministry, and by registering, they dig up all your necessary information, the reputation that you have, your banking information, the experience that you have. And all of that, and we're not talking at high level, so we understand the reality.
So you're talking like small contractors with smaller operations.
Contractors, very small. Then that's last year. The most difficult, I wouldn't say problem, but the most difficult stumbling block was land.
Yeah.
People that are impoverished don't own land.
Well, I was thinking of that. The poorest of the poor will have the land to be able to access the housing.
We have asked the government, we have asked the Ministry of Natural Resources to help us with that, and they have. Yeah. But now that we are more involved with it, we have realized that we have to do it more like housing projects to be able to move on further. We have in communication with a contractor out of Boom that is prefabricating these buildings for us now. So I think we'll be signing that contract hopefully this month, where they can produce between 20 to 50 on a prefabricated basis, meaning the same design, but concrete walls. Right. And they build in the factory, and they bring on the cranes, and they install, and it makes it much faster.
On the point, well, two things. One, what's the total invested so far? You said it's about 50 homes, 20 already handed over, 30 going out.
The budget was $5 million.
So you built 50 homes at $5 million?
No. That's the budget for the year, for the fiscal year. We have finished the 50, and we plan to finish maybe about 135, 140 before the fiscal concludes, which is in March. So we are on target with the budget. That budget was to be able to set up the unit, to hire professionals, to be able to get the necessary vehicles, whatever is necessary to have the unit run, and then establish the cost per the homes, and then move on. The cost is a factor.
What's the average cost per home?
Between $35,000 to $40,000, depending on where it is. That changes. It started at about 30 something, but since we started in last February, prices have increased in material approximately 10%. So even though you had a bill of quantities, you had your estimates, by the time you reach by the end of the year, you have to be readjusting. But the cost per square foot is really low compared. We compared it to the prefabricated houses that the Mennonites do, and we are below that. And the house comes with everything. It's small, but it comes with everything. It is inclusive of your septic tank. It is inclusive of your soakaway.
Utilities are installed.
Everything is ready. Now, we don't connect electricity or water. We ask the client to be able to assist in that, but we facilitate, meaning we speak to the utility companies to be able to assist them. Sometimes the area representatives that are involved, they use their influence within the area to be able to facilitate water and electricity.
So what do you do if a minister comes to you and say, I want my constituent to receive one of these homes?
He can apply, and then goes through the process. That's why I say you can't take away the political part. And I made sure, and the Prime Minister made sure, that we have contacted all area reps, including opposition members. They are on the list. And once the application process is vetted and their people are accepted, then they will get a house built.
And can you say definitively that persons who've been recommended by opposition ministers have been approved for homes as yet?
Yes. We started in the Kaya district. And the Stann Creek. We are now building in Corozal, we are building in Orange Walk. This application process that's coming up on Friday will include Belize City, which is where the majority of the opposition members come from.
Let me just track back to something you mentioned before. You said the exploration of the possibility of housing sites.
Yes.
What's the thought process here? Because we've yet to see a successful housing site established in this country.
I wouldn't say, in general terms, 100%. We have some that have failed. And basically, housing sites failed. I'm speaking as a designer now. When you don't consider all the factors. To be able to have a successful housing site, it either has to be very close to an established community already, or if you're doing it separate, it has to come with other things. You have to have
reliable
education
transport
facility, you have to have reliable transportation, and you have to have some kind of economic movement for it to be successful. So yes, we are far away from them to be 100% successful, but it is the only way.
Which one would you say is
the one everybody knows? Mahogany Heights has been the one that we complain about the most. And so that's a reality that we can't run away from. That one, the infrastructure went in, houses were built, but it's too far from a main town. And you don't have any industries in the area that was established. And you don't have any schools in the area that was easily to access. And if somebody is really, well, everybody is hurting right now. The added transportation factor going to either Belmopan or Belize City is something of concern. But I don't think it is a failure. It is in the process that it can become a very vibrant community. We are presently looking at that.
How do you use the lessons of Mahogany Heights in planning for a new housing site?
We're trying like right now we're trying to, in Armenia, we're trying to acquire a property that's very close to a village, which would be like a sort of a village expansion. And we are asking the Ministry of Natural Resources to identify plots that are close to existing communities. The argument with Mahogany Heights at the time was that it would have been better maybe if you expanded Belmopan and used that same resource. It goes back and forth. But we have to learn from previous experiences and find a way to move on. The reality is we can't do it at the pace that we would like to be able to serve the amount of people that we would want if we continue with this one-one approach, because it's expensive. I have a house building in Arenal presently. I have another one in Shunush. You understand me? So, and they're in remote areas, so it's logistics becomes a problem. Finance becomes a problem. So if you can build 50 houses, for example, or even 20 in a specific area, it makes it more efficient. And you can even connect the utilities a little bit more efficient. And so that's the the mindset that we have presently.
That's what you're working towards, not
Yes,
established
yes.
as yet.
Well, we have acquired one in the Kaya district up to now. I think in the Orange Walk district there's
In
one
your
set aside.
constituency?
In my constituency, there's one in Orange Walk East, I believe. There's one in Belize Rural North presently that we're working on by Boom. And that is the one that will start pretty shortly. And then we are asking and we are going and seeing in every constituency we want to establish a group. But we are not stopping the individual ones. We're just trying to find other alternatives. And we are looking at recyclable materials for other options. There are some new products coming out that use recycled wood, combining it with plastic. They create siding. I mean, you have all options that we are exploring. Once our engineers vet it, that it is a design that can withhold certain type of wind, then I believe we are fine. Once the foundation is set, depending on the ground.
I wanted to go back to one point earlier just to ask, how many houses do you expect to complete by the end of the fiscal year?
About 135, more or less.
Okay, so at 135, that almost already runs you at the 5 million.
Yeah, that's the budget.
Without including establishing the unit.
Yes.
And hiring professionals.
Yes.
Correct? So are you running over budget?
No, the budget was $5 million that was approved for the housing and $500,000 for the administrative work. So we are working within we can't go above the budget. There's a line item that determines how much you can spend and what you give for it. And what we will do is at the end of the year, a complete report will be given to Cabinet saying this is the budget that was given to us, this is what was accomplished, this is the cost these are the similar what we did with the emergency fund spending. We at the ministry, we are trying our best to be as accountable as we possibly can. And it's a learning experience, but I think it's important. If somebody is giving you the opportunity of giving you a budget, then I think it is our responsibility. Well, it's not what we want. If you look at the regulations, you should give a report back, which is what we are following.
Do you expect that budget to increase in the next fiscal year? And I ask because when you do the math, even over the next 10 years at $5 million a year, you still won't reach that 10,000 house
Well, the 10,000, there's a misconception of the 10. The 10 is what we as a party before government promised that would be built. We will engage in building 10,000 houses. The Ministry of Infrastructure is one entity that will be responsible to build houses. But you have the program is broken up into 3 phases. One is the low income approach, which is what we are doing right now. Second is the middle income approach. That's designed for people that are working like yourself, public officers. And so what we would do is facilitate them then. They won't want a low income house. They would want maybe a 2 or 3 bedroom house. So what we could do then is give you a set of plans that is free of cost. The application or processing fees to get those plans approved would also come free of cost. We would then facilitate by having you go to the lending institution, which is the DFC, which we have an agreement right now with them, or the National Bank. Once you take your information, your financial information, and they approve you, then we can build the house on your behalf with the financing coming from those lending institutions. And we can also add in that we could probably reduce your costs because we could maybe get a duty-free on your behalf. That's the second phase.
Yeah. But
And then
DFC has an ongoing program right now for...
Yeah, they have a normal program like that, but
officers.
we are linking up with that so that you have a structured system. So in reality, the MIDH basically is the executor of the program.
Yeah.
We don't get involved in the financing or who decides if you can get it or not. That's not our role. We facilitate, and if DFC or National Bank says you're approved, this is the money, MIDH can build it for you, or you can find somebody else to build it for you.
But very clearly, there's no way in one term you'll be able to build 10,000.
I don't think we'll reach the 10,000, no matter what. But
so
it's
what's
a
the
good
more
goal.
realistic? I mean, goals are ambitious. That's what they're supposed to be.
Well,
what's the realistic
This year, I'm
estimation
hoping
now?
that they give me a budget for 500 houses. That's a wish list. But I'll put it in the line item where I put it, and if the Ministry of Finance, in their wisdom, decides that we will be given that opportunity to build 500 houses, that's where we're going. If they decide that they will cut it in half, that's what we will do. All I can say is, and I'm proud of this, is that we have a good reputation, that we're followed with what they have asked us to do. and we have done it as efficiently as we possibly can. And so it's up to the Prime Minister and the Cabinet and Ministry of Finance to decide how that budget will be balanced. It's a difficult task.
Of course.
And
everybody's putting together the wish list by now, right?
And the wish list sometimes really high.
But let's come back to it though, because the housing portfolio is only a part of it.
Yes.
And one of the things, you know, I can hear very clearly from what you're saying that you're proud of, and having that personal experience of handing over and meeting families reconnects you back with the community. But infrastructure work is equally important. And it also has a lot to do with keeping quality of life standards, businesses going, and it's a heavy investment. Let's talk about some of the projects that are ongoing and also how you remedy some of the problems that exist. I know there was a quick fix the other day on the Philip Golson Highway near the river. There's quite a number of projects that need to be fixed as well.
Just to give you an idea, the budget for housing is 5 million. The entire budget for the ministry is like 142. You see the difference? But why is it so high? There's a lot of projects that we inherited that are financed by foreign institutions.
Yeah.
The Caracol Road is one that we are working on, that we are continuing. That's going really well.
At one point, there was an attempt to negotiate with the financiers too.
We did. The Caracol, you can't negotiate, that has started already.
Yes.
But you can negotiate the continuation, and we negotiated the continuation, and we saved about $25 million in the Caracol Road. We just changed the scope of works, the size, the width, and certain specifications, and we also negotiated with the lending institution. They have some supervisors in place, so everybody cooperated, and so we managed to save $25 million. That's ongoing. Then we have the coastal.
Coastal is ongoing.
That's a major one. That could not be negotiated because that was an entire contract. That's about halfway through. That's another one that's ongoing. Then you have the one between Corozal to Sarteneja, financed by the Taiwanese government and built by a Taiwanese company. That one is ongoing also. The ones that we recently did was the one to Orange Walk, from Biscayne to Orange Walk. Which we call it the Remate project. That has recently been signed, and that has started already. About 3 contractors are working on that. We recently did the Halova Bridge. That's another one that we saved about $30 million based on the scope of work again, the type of bridge.
Well, the work is just starting with that. You put out the release yesterday.
But a lot of work, that one you won't see work on the ground all the time because that's prefabrication. What we released yesterday is that we built, the contractor built some barges, and those barges will be placed in the center of the river so that the cranes and equipment can go to be able to start driving the piles. So you'll see some activity there. The one that you spoke of is an emergency.
Yeah.
Where the road, the shore guards failed. That was from 2009. When they did that part of the highway, that portion was not done because it supposedly was fine at the time, but it failed. The amount of boats that are going up and down the river undermine it. That one, that has to go to tender. It probably will be selective tender because of the time frame that we need to work with. We are preparing bids for it right now. That will go to the Ministry of Finance for them to look at. It has to go to Cabinet and the House because it will have to be a supplementary. It's not in the budget. And the Contractor General will have to review it to see. But normally those emergency projects, the Contractor General looks at it before he looks at others because of the emergency aspect of it.
Yeah. When you say selective tendering, let's talk about that. We just discussed the Commission of Inquiry findings, tendering processes being dismissed or not followed through on. And you know this always comes back as a major issue as to who is selected to be able to implement these projects.
If I can go into it a little.
Yes.
There are 3 types of tendering processes that we utilize. One is called limited tender, which you pick one contractor. The other is called selective tender, where you pick 3 competent contractors. And the last one is called open bid tender, where you just open it up to everybody. It is designed for different purposes. In an emergency, the Constitution and the Finance and Audit Reform Act allows you to use limited tender because you don't have time. For example, that road, if we would have not done anything and waited for an open bid, you wouldn't have any work happening there for the next 6 months. because the process takes long.
Yeah.
And so the Finance and Audit Reform Act gives you the authority to be able to use limited tender. Once you follow the procedures that the limited tender requests, the Finance Ministry has to approve, the engineers from the ministry have to approve, the contractor has to be a reputable contractor that has shown that he has done this kind of work and that his prices are within the norms. Remember, our ministry has engineers that every day are calculating bill of quantities to determine what is the cost of things. So once the contractor fulfills all those requirements, then it goes out to him, and then we have to take it back to finance, and then the contractor general has to vet it. But it's a fast process. The selective tender is the second phase. It's not really an emergency, but it's something that you really want to get done faster than normal. That has its own series of regulations. The 3 contractors have to be vetted. They have to be reputable contractors. They have to be efficient in what they're doing. They have to go through the entire process. And then you give them the opportunity to bid, and it's either the lowest or whatever you put in the contract. Remember, the designers or the supervisors or the engineers.
So you don't always pick the lowest bid.
You put it, when you do a bid document, it is embedded in that. So if you want it to be the lowest bid, you put that. If you want it to be a competitive bid, then you put that. If you want it, it can be determined once there's a scope that is acceptable.
Yes.
Not always is the cheapest the best. And that's what the engineers evaluate. And then you have the open tender, which is the one that is the preferred and recommended option for all government procurement, which is what you put it out for bid.
It's seen as the most fair process.
But that takes its time. And that has everybody involved. So that you have to put it in the newspapers, you have to, I think it's 3 times in the newspaper, it has to be gazetted, there's a process in how you open the envelopes, it's a lot. So all of them are valid. But to give you an example, ministry does tendering for small things every day. The CEO has to be issuing contracts every single day for small things, chopping of the grass, mowing of the lawn, cleaning of the side of the highway, renting a crane, buying materials with trucks, a backhoe in a certain area. If we don't have enough equipment, renting a grader. You can't go for open tendering for that. So what you do with that is you use selective tendering, because it's a level playing field. You know who the people are, you know what their rates are, and then the engineers choose depending on the best available. What we try to do is to minimize the cost by having it efficient, in that you try to hire the people that are in the zones. So I wouldn't hire somebody from Corozal, for example, to build something or rent me something in Toledo. And also we are looking at the people that are not the large contractors, so that we can distribute the wealth as best as we can, and which is important, I believe.
Well, running out of time, I mean, I could go deeper with this one, but I do want to press on another issue, because when we talk about the infrastructure upgrades that are necessary, I know you've spoken extensively about working on sugar roads. You know, there are always communities that get left behind. You have sometimes places in Toledo that need access. Not everyone may get a hot mix road. But let's talk about how you prioritize where you implement your upgrade projects.
Whew. Everybody has a request.
And everybody's work is priority.
And
if it's my street, it's a priority.
Last year, we concentrated on the rural communities. Because the rural communities don't have an established, organized governing system. You understand me? The municipalities and the cities, they collect income, they have resources. So our mandate is not municipalities or cities. The Ministry of Infrastructure Development has no responsibility for cities or municipalities. Yeah. So we concentrated on the rural communities. We got into a time when the emergency was on. So yes, the sugar roads was a major problem, because we in our mandate as Plan Belize, it was to be able to back up the productive sector was one of them. So we made a conscientious effort to help the sugar roads as best as we could, and the farmers in the rural communities, access to their farms. And then the village, I mean, the gentleman can tell you the villages are the ones that receive the least portion of the budget. And so we made a conscientious effort. But 3/4 along last year, the municipalities started to shout loud and say, listen to me, we need help. And so I sat with the Prime Minister and Cabinet, and I said, well, we have to share. It's not our responsibility, but we are Belizeans at the end of the day. And if we can help, so what we started to do was partner with the municipalities. We tell them, listen to me, we could help you all with some materials, we could help you all with some equipment, you all put the labor, you all do other things. So we are now partnering with municipalities. We've just helped them in Corozal to pave a road. We paved some roads in Dangriga. Belize City has gotten some help from us too. And now this year coming, we're putting in a budget to see if we can help the municipalities some more. But where do the requests come from? Well, we have zone engineers. The country is divided by zone engineers, and the CEO meets with them every week, and they bring in the list of requests. You have requests coming in from area reps, which is always. You have requests coming in from chairmen of different villages. You have Belizeans calling on your television station, on radio stations, and we are monitoring. Yeah. I have about 3 or 4 people just monitoring the media to be able to pick up where the people have needs. Like, for example, I am doing some work in Vista Del Mar right now, and a lady called and said, yeah, the Greater Media, but you never come to my street, and my street they're 2 blocks away. Things like that. It helps us, and so I don't mind people criticizing or giving their input, because it's how you learn. It shows you as to where the needs are, and there's incredible amount of needs in this country when it pertains to infrastructure.
Of course, of course. No, I just wanted to, if you want to follow up on that.
Not necessarily.
Okay, because I want to close off with something else. I know we are completely out of time. It went by so fast. But let's talk about what's happening with government at the moment. Yet we've seen the first major cabinet reshuffle. And clearly there is a lot of speculation about what's happening internally. Let me hear your thoughts.
I've been a manager for 30 years. Shuffling is a norm. A leader of a country or of a company has to be able to shuffle once in a while to be able to put the correct people in the correct position. That's what managers do. And so I don't have a problem with shuffling. The Prime Minister believed that he could better services by doing so. The people were giving their opinion, and I think that's a responsible government.
I mean, since you've been monitoring, I'm sure you've heard the concerns about the handling of the pandemic that have been very public.
That's a difficult situation for anybody to handle on their own. And I think no country in the world has handled it perfectly. So we are just one of many countries, and you have managerial styles. We are trying a new style to see if we can better it, a new personality, a new. And
What's
that's
the hope that will be different? I know this was a conversation that.
Kevin is a young, energetic, and intelligent person, but he also has experience. How a lot of people don't understand. Kevin has more managerial public service experience than most of us. He was a mayor of a town for home, I think 2 or 3 terms, and so I think it's an adequate choice within the options that we have. I think he will do a very good job. I can only give you my point of view and my experience. I think we have to be humble as leaders. I think we have to be willing to listen to people. I think you have to surround yourself by credible people and surround yourself by different types of thinking. That's, I believe, the secret. Because if you only listen to one sector, then you're not looking at the whole picture. And that's what we are learning. You have to understand that when a new government comes in, it is a learning experience. And humbleness is what I believe is the most important. I don't have a problem with criticism. I look at criticism, and nobody likes for people to tell you you're not doing something right. But if you really analyze it, you can better yourself. And so even though it hurts your heart when somebody tells you, oh, this and that, but you go home, you look, analyze it, and you say, but you know something, I think they have a point. And that's why you have to surround yourself. That's the Prime Minister, and any Prime Minister surrounds himself with a cabinet. He doesn't want that cabinet to be far-right thinking only, or far-left thinking only, or grassroots only, or business people only. He has to have a combination of all. And it is his decision at the end of the day to make that final decision based on the information provided. I believe communication with the public service and the professionals within the health system is the key. But it is not the only factor. There's also an economic factor that has to be taken into consideration, which involves all of us. That balance is important. If we go strictly health, then we lock down this place forever. But then how will we eat? How will we survive? How will we take our children to school? How will we educate them? How will we do business? How will we continue as a nation? So all those factors have to be taken into account before a decision is made. A very difficult decision for anybody to make.
Are these the reasons, going back to the humility comments you made initially on this topic, are these the reasons you believe as to why Minister Shabat was removed?
I wouldn't want to say that. The humility is something that we all have to strive for. We are all human beings. And you have to understand sometimes when we become ministers, you can easily be led astray by believing that you're above people. And that is wrong. George Price taught us it should be the opposite. You should stick in your head every day that you are servants of the people. But people put things in front of you or treat you in a different way and expect that you act in a different way. And that's why I'm telling you humility. I pray every night for humility. I do, because that's the key, in my opinion, to be able to be grounded, to make decisions. It's not our money. We are basically here temporarily to manage your money as efficiently as we possibly can. That's how I see it. And so if people are clamoring, I need this, I want this, yes, but it's their right. How to distribute it as efficiently as possible and equitably as possible is, in my opinion, the road to success.
The type of behavior he was criticized for displaying in office, in the Ministry of Health office, was it unbecoming of the person you knew him to be personally?
I wouldn't want to get into that, to be honest. He is a colleague of mine.
Let me come back to yesterday's press conference from the opposition. You've sat in the opposition seat. You talked about criticism, and clearly, when you are in opposition, that's part of what you do. But you say that you take every criticism that comes at you and you analyze it for truth. From what the opposition presented yesterday, what's a nugget of learning, lesson, or truth that comes from that?
Well, you listen to credible people. That's the first thing you have to analyze. And if you have been in power for 13 years and you have failed miserably, you have lost a certain level of credibility. And so I understand what they're doing. I respect what they're doing. Democracy is important to have the opposing. I was a very vocal opposition member. But it has to come with credibility. They were in charge of the Ministry of Health for so long. And if in 13 years you can see the record, I won't tell you what that record is. The Belizean people know that. That they believe that none of us is capable of running the Ministry of Health because it seems that anybody the Prime Minister put they won't be happy with. That's their prerogative, no problem. Kevin, who is to me an honorable man, will prove them wrong. That's what is there. That they have opposing views to ours, I respect that. I welcome that. It's the people to decide, and in a democracy and our meeting, it's what you guys think when you go to the polls. So that's what the role they are playing. And I believe we have to have a vibrant opposition. That is important. And that's how I see it. I've always run my politics in Cayo South based on that premise. And the Prime Minister in Cabinet has allowed us to be vocal, and so that's the premise I work on. And
so no nugget of truth come out from yesterday from the opposition press conference.
But what did they say, that Kevin can't handle it? That
well,
they were asking that Mr. Shabat be removed. I don't know what else I didn't follow it that much.
One of the criticism that did come out, and maybe we could get a quick comment from you, is reports that there's contracts being given to a company up north that's related to one of your cabinet ministers. And have you been able to look into that?
I've heard that. We have checked. Our responsibility is not to find out if your friend or anybody has a company and he's close to you. Our responsibility is to check if that person is credible, if that person can do the work, if that person is efficient, if that person has the necessary equipment. That company specifically fulfilled all those requirements. I can't go in and find out if they're a granny friend or if you may know her from high school. You understand me? So, but that's criticism coming from the political mindset, and that's fine. It allows you to think twice or thrice and say, listen to me, this is a concern, let's look at it, let's go into detail, let's find out what the situation, and let's minimize it as best as possible. There's nothing wrong with that coming out. But that, you know how that information came out? Because we provided it. We provided a report of the expenditure for the emergency fund of $12.5 million. We gave the information, we gave the contractor, we gave the value, we gave where it is there, public, all of you all got it. And so we are not hiding from it, we are there waiting for you all to give us more feedback so that we can better, when we give another one, then hopefully that is minimized.
So the criticism is that one of your ministers may have shares in this company.
We have, as far as we have found out, there is no shares. There is nothing that, and if that's the case, then we would address it.
Well, I think you opened yourself up for the public to be able to say, since they know that you're listening. But we appreciate you coming in. I think the fundamental point was definitely talking about the application process that starts once again with the single parent or low income housing. And we hope that people take advantage.
I would like to invite, and I know you all have participated, but I'd like to invite you as we go along, maybe visit the ministry one of these days to see how we operate. Visit some of the other sites that we are working on. We are open. We are willing to help, and we are willing to serve. That is what we are here mostly for, to be able to give service to the people.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking of the launch of Majestic Daughters. Please stay tuned.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
The ministry is collaborating with SpeedNet Communications to have a vaccination campaign for children ages 12 to 17 years. Children who get vaccinated will get a chance to win fabulous prizes, including backpacks with supplies, Nintendo Switch, tablets, book tuitions, and MiFi with 3 months data. Only children 12 to 17 years old can participate in this smart and Ministry of Health and Wellness raffle. At vaccination sites, each vaccinated child, upon being vaccinated, will receive a ticket to place their name, age, date of birth, BHIS number, and contact information on, which will be filled out by a parent or legal guardian. The sooner a person vaccinates, the more chances he or she will have to win. Get vaccinated, please. Vaccination saves lives.
Bingo players, you have the chance to get your hands on a big one. The Mega Bingo Progressive Jackpot is now at $619,936, so you don't want to miss your chance to win it. Purchase your tickets from the nearest outlet so you can get in on the game. Over $500,000 can be yours. So make sure you tune into the live show that airs on Channel 5, Radio Bahia, and Love FM at 8 p.m. this Wednesday, January 12th. You can also play the bingo game online by logging into Facebook or YouTube. Just search for Belize Mega Bingo. The jackpot and many more big cash prizes can be yours. Don't miss the next show. Mega Bingo is the game.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
So here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
Been drinking all night. Feeling so high. Better not drive. Won't even try.
Been drinking all night. Feeling so high. Better not drive. Ain't gon' try. Been drinking all night. Feeling so high. Better not drive. Ain't gon' try. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. People die every day, I'm not going with ya. I'ma find my own way, I'm not going with ya. It's okay, I'll wait. Even good people make mistakes. I don't wanna realize when it's too late. Drinking and driving is never safe. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. Been drinking all night, feeling so high. Better not drive, ain't gon' try. Been drinking all night, feeling so high. Better not drive, ain't gon' try.
Are you kidding me? Mira lo que has hecho. Ahora sí te voy a mostrar. Time out. La mayoría del tiempo los niños no saben que están haciendo algo mal. Usando violencia solo les enseña que pegando es la única manera de solucionar las cosas. Esto solo empeorará la situación y dañará su relación. Tómese un tiempo y hable con sus hijos de lo que está bien y mal. Construyan una relación basada en entendimiento, respeto y amor.
Lexani, sweetie, it's a very nice drawing, but you know you shouldn't draw on walls. You know how hard it is to keep the house clean. We will wash it off, and from now on, we will draw only on paper. ¿Entiendes?
Before you get caught up in this lifestyle, think about what could happen. You could end up in prison. Quick end to your life. Your family becomes a target.
Have to protect the life where we live, so you know, so we have to think smart. Have to think smart. Have to protect the life where we live, so you have to watch your head back. Watch your head back. And you don't want to do nothing negative, got the past away you can't get back. You fit, you fit.
Don't get caught up in the game. You are worth so much more. The Community Rehabilitation Department is here to support you and your family. Counseling, life skills, family support, educational assistance, linkages to other programs and services, all in an effort to support you as you choose a better life. So come in and visit the Community Rehabilitation Department. Come in, make we reason. It's not too late to start working towards a positive future. For more information on support services for families of children at risk of coming in conflict with the law, contact the Community Rehabilitation Department at 223-2716. This message is brought to you by the Community Rehabilitation Department, the National Committee for Families and Children, and UNICEF.
All right, welcome back. In this segment of our conversation, we'll be talking about the Majestic Daughters. It's an empowering conference for daughters, women, I would imagine, which is to be held. And so we have via Zoom with us Dr. Toyin Harris, who is the lead host of Majestic Daughters Empowered Conference, as well as the Mayor of Belmopan, Her Worship, Sharon Palacio, who's the host of the Majestic Daughters Empowered Conference. Good morning to both of you, daughters.
Majestic women.
Majestic daughters.
Good morning.
Yes.
All
Good
right.
morning. Thank you for having us on.
All right. If you would, as lead host, Dr. Harris, get a bit into telling us about the Majestic Daughters Empowered Conference, so what it is all about.
Okay, thank you so much for having us on your channel, Channel 5 this morning. We're so excited. Yeah. Majestic Daughters is a women's prayer and empowerment ministry that started 7 years ago in Houston, Texas. And we have sister arms in London, England, and Lagos, Nigeria. It's a non-profit and NGO where we spiritually empower women, and we also empower them financially in any way in which they need our help. And so we also have a transitional home called Goshen, where we help women that are going through challenges. We accommodate them for a period of 3 months and just help them get back to their self-esteem and nurture their growth. And so this conference, the Empowerment Conference, is a conference God laid in our heart because we believe is the season where God wants to empower women. It's a season, it's a time of transformation, it's a time of impact, and we believe that every woman is destined for greatness. So God put Belize in our heart, and we're coming all the way there to come to the women, to bring hope to the hopeless, strength to those that are weak, and to lift up all those that are down.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's powerful enough, just what you said there. But, you know, Dr. Harris, you talk about having branches in different parts of the world. This conference is actually the official launch of the branch in Belize. Tell us why Belize.
Well, so like I visited Belize last year, and I was fortunate to meet the honorable, beautiful, powerful Mayor Sharon Palacio. And when I met her, we met at the women's, there was a women's conference, or like a women's fellowship, where we met. And I also came for one of my doctorate programs when I met her in Belize. And I was drawn towards the women of Belize, the women in the city of Belpoman. When I met them, like I said, there's something special about them, something that I just felt like God wanted to do something in the city. And of course, the mayor invited us with her goodwill heart, and we're here coming to just bring the good news and coming to bring inspiring and motivational messages to touch the women of the city of Belpoman.
Well, Mayor Palacio, what better introduction than that? Let's just tap into your goals here. You are one of the few elected female leaders in this country, and I'm sure that gives you a unique perspective in itself. But let's talk about what the goal is in inviting Majestic Daughters to establish the branch.
Well, for me, when I met Dr. Toyin Harris in her pursuit and finalizing her doctoral degree, I'm always attracted to women who are seeking higher education. So personally, I flocked onto her, and the minute I heard that she's a female pastor at the same time and all what she's doing, I became so excited because I don't think I've ever met a female pastor and leading a ministry. So out of curiosity, I wanted to have that kind of connection, and having a female myself in my mind, I want to become a female pastor. That has always been a dream. Oh, wow. So one of my goals is to continue in my pursuit of becoming a pastor eventually, but more so having a woman of God share with us, share with the city of Belmopan and others who will be attending, the power of prayer, and having woman to woman connected using prayer.
Yeah.
That's my number one goal. Using prayer to promote sisterhood, and connecting us using prayer. And amongst them, when I visited her in Houston, I realized how organized her group is, and they care for hurting women from domestic violence. They have a home for them. So personally, I want to be able to offer specifically my females in Belmopan that type of support, that type of anchor. And when we create linkages for a lifetime, these are some of the things that we can get done. I never imagined that she was going to respond so fast and bring a group of 11 powerful women.
Yes,
so I am
quite a lineup.
Very excited, and I'm looking forward. I remember telling her that I formed a group by the name of Single Woman in Motherhood. And if you look at the acronym, it is SWIM. And she said, she was only looking at me, and she said, that's a wonderful idea, Mayor Palacio. And I won't go ahead of myself. Let's continue the show.
Yeah, you won't give all the details, but let me ask the question. And I know I ask it from personal experience, but I want you to share with people who are watching just how important it is to have supportive females in your corner. Support in general is wonderful, but there's something different when you have the support of other women, especially when you have leadership roles or you're pushing a message of positivity. Dr. Harris?
And that question.
Okay, it's so important for women to support each other because women are emotional beings and they go through different things every day, different seasons of their life. Some are going through challenges, some are going through all sort of things. So when you see a woman supporting another woman, it's so encouraging. It makes you feel as if you have a sister that you can lean on to. It makes you feel as if you have an intercessor that is praying for you, somebody that is looking out for you, somebody that is watching out for you. So, and it helps build a community when you have people, when it's not all about competition, it's not all about envy, but you can pass on the love of God through being able to carry each other up. So it's so important that we women begin to hold each other up, begin to love each other, and begin to share the love of Christ amongst each other.
I grew up with a single mother in a single mother home. My mother raised several of us, and I am witness to the fact that being empowered, seeing her seeking empowerment, seeing her seeking to empower herself, how that has taken her as a woman, as a single mother, despite all the challenges that comes with raising 7 children, including myself, some very stubborn children at that, myself included, how that empowerment has taken her to another level. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is exactly what it is you're seeking to instill in women across Belmopan.
Yes, that is very true. It's very true. We are coming with a message that this is the season of empowerment. God is set to empower women. Women are the next move of God on earth. He's ready to let us know that we have the ability, the capacity to rise. No woman is expected to live below status quo. Every woman is expected to reach the height that they dream or imagine to want to get to. The mandate of this ministry is birthing the destinies of women through prayer. A lot of women are sometimes afraid to birth their desire, birth their goals or their dreams. But we're coming here to tell them that through the Holy Spirit, every woman has the ability to be empowered to become great in life.
Yeah. Can I just say, your mom's probably tearing up because you said that so beautiful. But Mayor Palacio, just bring it back to us for a moment. What's the local reality? Is there a supportive community that you think will be fostered within Belmopan, or is it trying to get them to that place?
Marlene, I must say that the moment I started working on the promotion of this event, I have a young man who he has been right by my side, and I actually saw the outpour that people are so supportive. And as we speak, I remember telling him yesterday that we have to close our registration because of COVID, we can only have a certain number. So our target group is 100 women, and we were there. I think we barely have space for anybody else. So the season is right, the timing is right, and I don't have to work hard in promoting having these 11 women of God and at the same time competent women that it's not hard to market. So it's something that the time is right. The time is very right for such a gathering.
Yeah. And is it women of all age groups?
Yeah. When we advertised and I kept on sharing, we wanted to be intergenerational.
Nice.
Because as we older women continue in what we're doing, we need to raise up our younger ones. And whenever I look at you, Marlene, I always feel so special.
Yeah.
Because I can never forget when I saw you as this bright little girl. Mm-hmm. And when we were doing that convention on the rights of the child, if you can recall, you were the speaker.
Yes.
And today, as far as I'm concerned, you're the CEO for Channel 5. Yeah. So that's something I keep under my, how to say it, as part of my platform. Yeah. And I don't go around sharing this every day. Yeah. But I know that when we capture young leaders at the right time, we can't go wrong. We'll have many more Marlenes.
I agree. And I've had a lot of phenomenal women in my life from I was very little who have shown me what is possible. And I think having this collaborative network that you're trying to build there is so admirable. And I love that it's intergenerational, because you can be 10 and still seeing and learning that women are capable, women are empowered, women can be supportive, and they can take leadership through faith, as you're doing with this project. So let me just come back for 1 second. So you have the conference for the launch on January 15th, and you are going to, you have your 100 women invited. Where do you go from there? I know you have a powerhouse lineup in the presentations, but what's the plan after the launch?
The plan is to be consistent in sharing messages. When I went to Houston with Dr. Harris, the topic was unveiled. And I see that she'll be launching in Canada. There's another topic. So we've already discussed. She gave me the task to find a base in Belmopan, to find a building, but I haven't done so. I decided that I'm going to use existing structures. So fortunately, we have access to the American Northwest University in Belmopan, because we have to learn how to collaborate with each other. So we're using an existing facility, and I did not want to go ahead and identify a venue, call it a home for Majestic Daughters. I want Dr. Harris to be on the ground so that we can walk Belmopan together and choose the home for Majestic Daughters, because her ministry will be financing every step of the way. But my mother taught me from early, money has no friend. So I did not take that bold step to identify the place. But Majestic Daughters will have a home. We'll have regular visits from Majestic Daughters in Houston, in Canada. It's a big network. And I'm sure you don't know this as yet, but I have a conference that I'm organizing 4th to the 6th of March by the name of She for She Champions. Because when I read a report, it said that women will not take our due place in leadership. There's another 103 years before women really take over. And in my mind, we can change that narrative by being there for each other. I'm from a family of men, and I find myself that whenever I'm interacting with females in my very community, it's very, at times, disheartening when you're going to hear certain things, the way the way woman to woman communicate, and that has to change. I've been on the campaign trail, and I'm not campaigning. And as you rightly said, I'm the one female mayor. But Marlene will have a separate discussion on my experiences, on my being that first female mayor for the city of Belmopan. It is not a walk in the park. When I grew up with my 6 brothers, it was all love and joy and friendship. So I believe that my platform has to change this narrative when it comes to how women interact with each other, how we communicate, how we behave. So there has to be some kind of change for us to come together meaningfully. So the She for She Champion is a first step to see where we are, how we as women can come together, create better linkages for the development of our younger girls who are watching us.
Of course. I love that. I think that's the perfect way to round off the conversation. Dr. Harris, for people who are interested to learn more about Majestic Daughters, do you want to share with us how people can get in touch?
Yes, we have a website, www.majesticdaughters.org. We have a lot of information there where you can read about the ministry, what we do, how we help people, how we help with prayer and empowerment. And also, once we solidify our base in Belize, we're going to form a WhatsApp group with all the members, with all the women that are interested in being part of the ministry. So we're able to send messages to them through our email. Our email is info@majesticdaughters.org, and through our social media handles on Instagram and Facebook at Majestic Daughters.
All right. Well, all the best to you, Dr. Harris, and to you, Mayor Palacio, and Mayor, all the best to you in your ministerial endeavors in the future. Hopefully one day when that happens, I get to visit your congregation.
Definitely.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much, and best of luck. We hope that you have a phenomenal event on the 15th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we are still focusing on the fact that we are starting off a new year.
Yeah.
And for the new year, maybe new hobbies,
music.
Yeah, it's not soundbite drumming.
It's not drumming.
We tried it though, and that's the key message here. Exactly. All right, so we're going to talk about learning to play a new instrument, and from a professional as well. I mean, it's so intimidating, right? But we have Cindy Burgess joining us. We're going to talk about what she's been doing, but even more so just why people should consider taking up playing a new instrument. So that's coming up in a few. Stay tuned.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." The first need of man that God addressed was loneliness. God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him." Loneliness is one of man's greatest enemies. Kipling said, "The human soul is essentially a very lonely thing. We're born alone, die alone, and in the depths of our hearts we live alone." None are exempt from the despair of loneliness, though some experience deeper depths than others. Elijah felt alone. David felt alone and forsaken by his best friend. The Apostle Paul in prison wrote, "At my first answer no man stood with me, but all men forsook me." However, no one ever experienced the pain of loneliness like Jesus did. More than once his disciples forsook him. Yet his loneliness was never expressed more painfully than it was on the cross when he cried out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Bishop Vincent once said of Christ, "He was himself forsaken that none of his children might ever need to utter his cry of loneliness." Today I know not the depth of the pain of your loneliness, but I leave you this promise from Jesus, who said, "I will never leave thee nor forsake thee." So remember, friend, you are not alone. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
Okay, students, let's focus now.
Teacher, yes, teacher.
Can anyone tell me what sustainable development means? Ganze?
Huh?
Anybody?
Teacher. Last night my dad was talking about sustainable development and he said something about people and nature and something else. Oh, and money.
That's good. But did you ask your dad what sustainable development really means?
Yes, teacher, but he said I was too young to know what that is. Is it something bad?
No, Balisha, it's not bad. It's delicious. Well, at least it looks delicious on the TV.
Can I get some? No, Waldo. You're thinking about edible arrangements. That's what you saw, edible arrangement.
Don't laugh, class. Some people get confused with sustainable development. But when we balance the three things Padisha said, we achieve sustainable development.
What do you mean by balance, teacher?
It is when people use only the resources they need from the forest, rivers, and sea and leave some resources to grow back again.
But teacher, why do people cut down the nice trees that give us shade and kill the poor animals?
Because people need wood to build houses, food to cook, and water to drink.
But teacher, we have enough trees to get wood and enough plants and animals to get food. Good enough that we can sell them and make money.
That may be so, Waldo. We need money to live. But if we use up all the resources, then there will be none left for our friends and families to see later. Do you think that's fair?
No, teacher. That's being greedy. My mom always tells me to use what I need now and save for rainy days.
Exactly.
Teacher, if we take care of Belize's precious resources and practice sustainable development, we and our children can enjoy all of Belize. That's what I learned from the Department of the Environment when they came to present at our school.
Oh, that's excellent, Waldo.
was trying to do the TikTok dance over there.
Hey, I don't know the TikTok dance.
I don't know either. It's just some little thing they do in the...
Oh, so you have an idea of what it is, right?
Kinda, yes. That was the inspiration for learning that song.
Oh, really? The dance or the TikTok?
Both of them, because I saw them a lot on TikTok, and my daughter, she was like, hey, mommy, I like that song. So I'm like, it is kind of catchy. So I tried it, and that's
Marlene said she'll treat us to the TikTok dance before.
Oh yeah, I know there's an open your arm part. Maybe I do that one. That's as far as it goes. But great to have you here.
Thank you.
And but for people who don't know, please introduce your friend. We're used to classical, Cindy.
Exactly.
Tell me about this one.
All right, so this is electric violin. It's almost like the regular kind that I use, but it's electric, so I have to plug it in, so it has a wireless receiver so that I can walk around and entertain, and not constricted by wires. So it's like a standard violin, except that you need batteries to power it, you have to plug it in to charge it. So that's the only part that's different, electric part.
Yeah.
So this is what happened in the pandemic?
Most of it, the video part of it, the social media part of it, but I had been using a different violin, one that I was given for my birthday by Mr. Leon Banks, but then that one went out of commission, so my good friend Anselma Jones, she loaned me her one.
All music lovers.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I'm lucky enough that she was like, well, I'm not really doing anything right now, but I know she's starting off her career as well, so it will soon go back to its rightful owner.
No, that rendition you did a moment ago was so beautiful.
Thank you.
I loved it. I love the vibe. You think I could learn that in 5 to 10 minutes? The way you played it?
All right, let me see
how
if I can.
How long did it take you to learn that?
Well,
I need to just kind of judge exactly what will happen here.
It took me almost a full year to hold it properly. Let's just say that. It took me a full year. But I've seen kids that come in and they learn this stuff in like 2 weeks max, and those are the ones that are like really good at it. So I try to give them one-on-one mentorship and, you know, encourage them to do this kind of music because it's positive. Especially in the pandemic, learning an instrument really helps with depression, with anxiety. It just helps you stay grounded, and spreading it with people that don't normally get this type of music is really helpful to their mental health as well.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, while we try to set Paul up with that, let's just catch up for a moment. I mean, you've been teaching music for over, what, a decade now?
Yes, pretty much.
You know, we've talked so many times about your passion for classical music and, you know, aiming for getting into the orchestra, and then the pandemic happened. What was that like for you?
That was pretty depressing for me because I'm used to interacting with my students for big concerts. We don't have like tiny little recitals. We have big Bliss concerts for Palote School of Music. So they were kind of bummed out that they couldn't do it. So this year we went the extra mile and did everything virtual. So they still sent in their videos and they performed like normal, but at home.
So they're still learning at home? Yes, they're teaching music online?
Yes.
Well, if you can teach music online, anybody can teach anything online.
It's true. I've met students that I've never met them in person, but I taught them online and they've just taken off on their own. So that's pretty gratifying to see that people take it up on themselves to achieve something like that.
And I'm pretty sure you were always a cool teacher, but you probably became cooler when you used electric instruments.
Everybody wants to be like Miss Cindy when she pulls this one out. So.
And what do you tell them? Learn the classics first?
Most of the time I tell them, yes, learn the basics on the regular acoustic violin, then you can graduate to the electric, and that's when you pretty much can handle yourself and you don't need a teacher anymore. So I encourage them to do that after they finish whatever they want to achieve with their studies.
Well, obviously this morning we're fast tracking my lessons. We are even starting at acoustic. I understand the learning curve. Maybe a bit more steeper for adults.
Well, I found the perfect song for you to try. It's actually Twinkle Twinkle.
Oh, yeah. That's his favorite song.
How did you know? That's number one on my playlist.
Yes. Actually, I'm going to switch over to the acoustic. Yes, so maybe you can hold this.
Yeah. I know what to do with this, right?
Of course.
Can you do it like a guitar?
I was wondering the same thing. Just play.
I just think it's beautiful.
It looks lovely on you, if nothing else.
Yeah. I can take a picture and pretend that I know what I'm doing.
Yes, so the number one rule is don't touch the hair with your fingers.
Okay, so I broke that rule just now.
You keep breaking the rule. You're breaking the rule now.
Okay. Yes, so that's the part you hold the violin from is actually down here. It's called the frog. So this is where you're holding the bow. So this will be your bow. Okay. And you hold it in a bunny rabbit shape. So these are the ears and these are the teeth and this is the carrot, and then they show the kids to hold it like this.
Just like, let me just hold on to the valuable equipment.
So you can put this
Paul,
in
you do
this
the
hand.
rest.
This hand?
Yes. And then the violin will go in this, the bow will go in this hand. And then you're going to take the violin and you're going to hold it up this way first so that you can get an angle of where it should go on your shoulder.
Okay.
You're going to turn it upside down under the chin.
Wow.
Yes. So right here should be your comfy spot. And you can hold this right here. And I can show you the first two notes of Twinkle Twinkle, which we know as Twinkle Twinkle, right? So you know that song, right?
Yeah.
How I wonder.
Yeah. So the first two notes are actually the easiest because they're on the open strings when we don't need to press any fingers. So you're going to play on the second string is A string, so you're going to say twinkle. Then you're going to roll the bow over to E. So those are your first two notes, twing. Yes, Yes, so now, are you ready for the next step?
Yeah.
So the next step now is you're going to relax this hand, put it here, and then the little part, little is here on the E, the first string here. Then you let it go, start. Yeah, so you have twinkle, twinkle. Yes, all right, now I'm going to let you try.
Wow.
All right, let's see if you got it. Let's see if you got
Don't
it.
make it look too easy now, right?
Yeah, and then this part needs to stay right here in the middle, right here. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's amazing.
Cindy, you're being so nice.
Yes, I think with a few lessons you'll get even better.
Wow. That's my first time playing the violin. Marlene, how?
You look like a professional.
Yes, actually he has a very good left
One more
hand.
time.
You know, he sings too. Maybe we make up a song for this one.
Yeah, this one should be a little bit back more right there.
This
yeah,
is
there you got it.
Sound
Yes.
like a horror movie theme.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's great.
So if you can do that,
Yeah.
I think anyone can do it.
Right,
Right?
definitely.
It just takes a little practice, and when you fiddle,
Well, I mean, you're a
literally
great
fiddle
teacher,
around with
let's
it.
be honest,
right? But I mean, I could see myself occupying myself,
Yeah.
you know, learning. After that small bit of practice, I feel a bit of confidence that, you know what, maybe it's not that hard.
Yeah, and that's
pick up some more notes, and then it comes with time, though, right?
Yes, and that's a mental block that I find here in Belize is that people think like, oh, it's like.
It looks scary.
It's intimidating. People think, oh, you have to be a prodigy, violin concerto, you know, but it can be for fun too. I mean, I'm showing the kids that you can do it for fun, you can make a living from it. So I've been getting gigs out in resorts in Placencia, San Pedro.
Lovely.
So,
and we saw your videos scrolling
Yes,
too, so you're doing music videos
yes,
with
I'm starting
just
to do
your
that.
solo
Yes,
performance.
Yes, because it's sad Belize doesn't have that kind of thing happening, so I just want to change the scene. Me and Leon Banks, we're trying to change that scene where we research our own methods of, you know, videoing ourselves, recording ourselves so that the quality is there as well. So we've been putting in
and
a lot of work.
You know, I think
Yes.
that's also a key thing. Look at you there.
Oh, I've also been performing at Ochuna Restaurant before the pandemic, but you know, the lockdown and stuff happened, so we were supposed to start back in February. So I'm hoping everyone comes out again and supports us.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
No, it's we've spoken about it a few times, mostly with singers, but musicians in general. This has been a really tough time because you rely on people and social settings. But you didn't just sit there. You found an avenue with online.
Yes.
And what's been the response?
Well, at first kids weren't like up for it because then school is online, everything is online, so they're like another thing online. But the ones that were serious didn't fall off. They were like, okay, let's do this, and we kind of carried them forward. And then afterwards, the ones that were reluctant joined in slowly. So I found that, you know, kind of inspiring that they want to learn, so that makes me want to teach as well.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about benefits. You've been playing violin, I mean, I don't know how long, all your life.
Yes.
Since you were very little.
Yes.
And what do you say is the benefit of learning a new instrument and playing an instrument? What's the personal benefit?
Well, for me, the personal benefit is just being able to share my creativity. Because it's like I tell Leon all the time, I hear things in my head, I'm not crazy, but getting it to come in reality is the hard part. So for me, the benefit is seeing that hard work that I've been trying to get out of me actually come out. So I find that really interesting when I see what I'm thinking come out in a video or in a song.
Would you say there's a mental health benefit as
Yes.
well as an emotional benefit to persons who may be on lockdown, for example, in quarantine?
It's a form of therapy for people with depression. You know, learning an instrument, it takes your mind off of everything that's happening out here, and you kind of like go inside yourself and think musical thoughts instead of, you know, having anger, having sadness. You know, you put that into a form that you can bring out that's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
So you only teach children, or we can sign up for
Yes,
some
he
adult
can definitely. Yes,
sign up.
I do have adult students.
I need to learn how I wonder what you are part
Yes.
of little star. So I'm advancing.
Yes, you got the first part now.
I'll work on the standby drama. We'll do a mix of that and a standby, right?
I need to stick around for that.
That means you're coming in with vocals, or we're gonna call on Leon to do that.
Yeah, Leon will.
Oh, but this is fantastic. So, how do people get in touch with you if they are interested in joining the classes with the kids or getting lessons?
Yes, most of my information is on the Paloti School of Music page on Facebook.
Okay.
So you can go there. There's a registration form where you can sign up for any instrument that we have available. So we have cello, viola, violin, flute, vocals, guitar, and I think soon electric guitar, I'm hoping. So kids can pick whatever instrument they want, and then we'll pair them with a good teacher to start them off.
Nice. And in the meantime, following your videos?
Yes, so you can find me on YouTube under The Violin Gyal with a Y, Gyal. Instagram, the.violin.gyal with a Y again.
Do you take requests?
Yes, actually, people have been putting in the comments what they want to hear me cover, and so I did a little hip-hop medley from something like that, so I'll play that a little bit later.
All right, and so what's been a strange request that you haven't gotten around to?
There was one person who hired me for an anniversary dinner, and the playlist was very strange, but I get that it's a personal thing with her and her husband, but she requested I'm a Barbie girl.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was some inside joke they had, but it turned out pretty on the violin. So it was nice.
So have you posted that one? Because the 80s babies are gonna love it.
No, but I think I'm gonna do that one next.
Do you know that song, Paul?
I am a Barbie girl
in a Barbie world. Yeah, that one.
All right, so and I'm sure people are asking for some of the Belizean songs as well.
Yes. The most requested has been the Super G that I do, Party Insane. And I do some Lila Vernon. I actually like doing more traditional Belize stuff and showcasing like Paul Nabor and Mr. Peters. I love his 11 Bokotora on violin. It's like insane. But I like doing Belizean covers as well.
The violin gal, right? Just in case you needed to know where you're gonna get your latest entertainment. And so, what can we request from you? Let's see, what can you learn on the spot? Paul, what's your
I want to hear one of the more traditional Belizean
songs. Do we want to go to our Open Your Eyes team?
Can she? Is she up for that challenge?
Do the graphics. You gotta play it though. Play the bumper for me. Pull up the bumper, Dara.
We hear at least one or two notes from it.
Yeah. So we can hear it. Let's see. All right, we're gonna get that going in. This is actually done by Belizeans too.
Yes.
Yeah, by Dane and his group. Yeah.
Dane, yeah.
All right, we're not hearing it here. I knew she could do it, you know. All right, Cindy, but we are so grateful that you came in to remind us once again that music can really be a form of therapy and just something new for us to take on even as adults, right?
Yes, definitely.
Any closing thoughts?
Just like to say hi to Aria, my daughter watching at home. That's me and Leon's daughter. And Leah, we want to say hi to Leah, to my mom, my dad in heaven, and my mom, my mother-in-law, Miss Delverine Lavmy, and Mr. Adam Banks on behalf of Leon Banks.
Who's behind the scenes making sure everything's fine?
He's making sure that the engine runs smoothly, so I have to tell him much thanks for helping me out.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Are you going to close off with some music?
Yes, I have one more. Electric.
I think she's found a new baby, you know. Very clear.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
All right. You're going to do backup?
No, I'm going to back up.
All right. She's going to take us to a break. And yeah, they're asking you to take the delicate equipment over there.
Of course.
Cindy Burgess, thank you so much for coming in. The Violin Gal, find her on YouTube and on Instagram. Show your support, make your requests, and she'll take us out to the break.
Hello, welcome to Samsung's awesome experience right here in Belize. Come check it out. Not sure which Samsung Galaxy A series is right for you? Touch, play, and learn about your device before you buy. Once you've purchased your device, you can now benefit from the full Samsung service experience. Your phone is covered by a 1-year local warranty. This includes manufacturer defects and software and hardware issues caused by the manufacturer. Enjoy your phone with peace of mind knowing that your Galaxy is protected. And when your warranty expires, you can still bring it to our certified Samsung Repair Center. Our technicians will diagnose and repair your device with Samsung original parts and machinery. Enjoy the Samsung experience when you shop at any of our authorized partners countrywide, including Cellular World, Digi, Odette's Home Center, Debari, Tropigas, and Quartz. Join the Samsung experience in Belize today.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
We're back, and we were enjoying the music all during the break
all
time.
During the
Not
break.
done by Paul, by the violin gal.
At least we know I could do twinkle, little star, something like that. I could do.
I think you have a career in scary movie soundtracks. Yeah, you know that screeching violin.
Yeah,
you.
There'll be a market
There's
in
a
Belize
market
for that
for it.
soon.
Yeah.
I would imagine, you
Yeah.
know, after all the horrific things that has happened.
Yeah. Okay,
I mean,
so you have a start, right? We put you out there. You can make screeching
I'm
sounds.
about to become a millionaire.
All right, there we go with the optimism. But it's been a really great show, a bit extended. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate our guests who stopped by. It's been a lovely Wednesday. And of course, as we close off, we want to remind you, you can always send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
Or you could catch us on Facebook.
At Open Your Eyes BZ.
Or on Instagram.
At OYE Belize. It's on the screen. It's a cheat sheet, right? All right, but we got to go. I won't give you. I totally did, right? Just showing the different skills you have other than the scary movie music. But thank you so much, Paul. Thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to guests. We're out of here. Remember to tune in again tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes to
start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, please.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.